I am a massive fan of PlayStation. I personally don't believe in the console wars, but I've always found myself gravitating towards PlayStation when it comes to their massive library of single-player focused IPs. With this love, I of course collected quite a bit of PlayStation hardware. Currently, I own the PlayStation 2 through 5, the PSP, the Vita, the Portal, and the PSVR 2. It's that last one that I wanted to look at today, because when it came out, it promised to be one of the biggest VR headsets on the market, and it had a list of abilities that stretched a mile. But unfortunately, the headset was retailed at $550, $50 more than the console it was supposed to connect to. Now, I was lucky to get mine at a still pricey $350, but the high price tag and overall lack of support made me think, is the PSVR 2 really worth it? Let's get started. VR, or virtual reality, is something that the gaming industry has been striving to perfect. There have been many attempts over the years to create such a product, but without boring you with a giant history lesson, I'll skip to the more modern examples. Similar to the console market, there's an ongoing fight between three companies to see who can make the best-selling, best-performing VR gaming product. These companies are HTC with their Vive family of products, Oculus, now known as Meta, with their Rift and Quest, and PlayStation with their PSVR line of headsets. All of them have their own pros and cons, but the biggest factor that affects all of them has always been the price and the technology. Each has done some crazy things, going as far as having your sensors placed around the room with the Vive. However, knowing that there's only so much you can do with the tech while maintaining a price consumers will pay for, Oculus would change course to making less technologically impressive headsets for cheaper, and HTC would begin to target corporate and trade markets rather than consumer markets. This left only PlayStation in the race, and they did not take that lightly. The original PSVR was a clunky mess that required not only the PS4 camera, but also an entire extra processor that had to be plugged in. Alongside this, it also used the, in my opinion, awful PS3 Move controllers. There were definitely some redeeming factors to it, but it overall felt like something that could be improved to be something great. So when the PS5 generation started, it was an opportunity for PlayStation to try again. And in my opinion, I think they nailed it. The PSVR 2 has all of the improvements I wanted. First and best is that it does not require anything extra. Just plug the headset into the USB port and you're ready to play. No camera, no extra processor, nothing. The controllers are the things that got the biggest upgrade though, being the VR Sense controllers. Packed with all of the same features as the regular DualSense controller, however, it was the new added feature that really stole the show. Games can now track your eyes on where they're looking and when they blink, and an outward-facing camera allows you to see your surroundings at the push of a button without taking the headset off, and every detail of how your hands and head are tracked. It was impressive, but as previously mentioned, it came at a cost, $550 to be exact. I don't personally believe the hardware is worth that on its own, so with that, I thought I would also look at some of the games that utilize it to come to the ultimate conclusion of if this headset is worth it. Let's get started. This was one of the first games I wanted to pick up when I bought the headset, as it was recommended to me by a friend back when the headset first came out. The idea of the game is simple. You are a girl with baseball bat for hands. There are puzzles to solve and trophies to knock over. Go. For such a simple concept, I was surprised how much fun I ended up having with it. I didn't even feel like the game got repetitive. The developers managed to shove a ton of different ideas and concepts into this game, and I never felt like I was getting bored with the puzzles. The levels and worlds are also varied, putting you in the museum, in space, on a Hollywood lot, and everything in between. The controls were pretty solid. The game uses an improved hand tracking on the headset super well. I've played plenty of VR games in the past, but this was one of the first times in a long time that I returned to the medium, and this game was one of the perfect ones to settle myself back into it with easy to understand mechanics and simple gameplay. I will say my one gripe with this game was the inconsistent physics, which led to a few annoying puzzles. Nothing too terrible, but the speed and direction of which you hit the baseball, or whatever else the game is having you hit, almost always results in different results, even when you make sure to do the exact same action between hits. Thankfully though, this was only in a handful of levels, as the game is generally understanding and will adjust if needed. This doesn't take full advantage of the PSVR 2 features, but I felt like including this one since it's one of the first games I experienced with the platform. This one was also recommended, but by one of the YouTubers I enjoy watching by the name of Mystic. This game is entirely controlled by your eyes, which utilizes the new eye tracking feature of the headset. Every time you blink, time moves forward. You relive the life of a soul fished from the underworld. Before Your Eyes was a special type of game. I had never quite played anything like it, and that's a good thing. The story is super well constructed, and the characters are believable and convincingly written flaws and traits that help you truly connect with them as the story progresses. I found myself getting immersed as the character. The game is kind of short in length, but honestly, in my opinion, that suits it best, as it makes the game playable in one sitting, which is absolutely how this game is supposed to be played. The eye tracking feature works incredibly well, and I never found myself fighting the controls or getting frustrated with the game. If you have trouble keeping your eyes open, you can always pause the game too, and I enjoy that they allowed that so that you don't have to miss any story beats accidentally because you blinked. This game is the absolute best possible showcase of this eye tracking feature, and a phenomenal game overall. If you do get a headset, this has to be one of the first purchases that you make. I saved the biggest showcase for last, as it is truly the game that makes the PSVR 2 worth it. Fans of the channel should know that Horizon is one of my favorite franchises of all time, but regardless of my feelings on the main two games, Horizon Call of the Mountain is a technical marvel. Right out the gate, I felt like I just re-experienced VR for the first time all over again. The visuals are extraordinary, and the immersion is top-notch. The ability to actually pull arrows from your quiver on the back is such a cool experience, and when climbing, it actually feels like you're there, dangling, and at any given moment I could look around and see amazing views. The story overall isn't the strongest, but the story is clearly not meant to be the point. I really wish there were more VR experiences like this one, because they are one in a million. Now, despite there being amazing games, and one of the best games being Horizon Call of the Mountain, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the PSVR 2 is worth the money that Sony wants for it. There are some unbelievable experiences here, but I don't feel as though it's an easy justification to buy it more than the console it connects to. PSVR 2 is worth it if you can find it on sale. Don't spend full price, but keep an eye out for deals, as I also don't suggest missing out on some of these games. What did you think of the PSVR 2? Have you bought one? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.